Midday in Rio, midnight in Tokyo, breakfast in LA, tomorrow morning by the Tasman Sea, 5 o'clock in Paris and Zagreb, 6 o'clock in Moscow, and here is the planet's ultimate game.
This guy says, I'm expecting to be live at 8 p.m. First of all, let me make sure there's no audio problems. There isn't. Am I live at 8 p.m.? I am. Tech problems hype. Tech problems hype. Everyone, welcome back to 8 p.m. in Europe. It's myself, Lias Bouzidi. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the intro. I'm glad you guys enjoyed all of that stuff. I know you guys were waiting for me to slip up. Y'all ain't slick, man. Y'all ain't slick. But look, bro, the show's been popping off recently. Last week was an amazing episode. Obviously, we talked about PSG. We had a Parisian Londoner on. Is it crazy? Is it 9 in the UK? It is not 9 in the UK at the moment, mate. I'm sorry to let you know. Interesting. No comment. But guys, I got another great show for you guys today. As you can tell by the title, as you can tell by the thumbnail, today we're talking about the Champions League. We're talking about the draw that we just witnessed this morning. For some people, it was at 11. For me, for some people, it was at 7 over there in the East Coast in the US. You guys were telling me there's people out there in Australia and Morocco and Saudi Arabia, South Africa, all you guys watching from all around the world, big up. We appreciate you guys tremendously. Before I do get started into this show, we break down each team, each game that we have to watch in the next month or so. I do ask you guys, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, notifications on, share this with all your friends if they're looking for a European show, a football show in general, or a football channel in general to tune into. Let them know that FTBL is the place to go. I'll let a few more of you guys come in. While I do, I'll read some of the comments, let you guys get situated. Go get your food, go get your snacks, go get your drinks. It's going to be a good show. And by the way, I know the last 2 episodes you've been doing, what is it? Start, sub, sell. Today, shout out to, I think it was Ahmed who suggested it, Napoli and City fan. He said, can we do hot takes today? And I said, why not? So at the end of the show today, I'll be taking some of your hot takes. You send them in to me, and I'll give you my thoughts on them. We'll all give you our thoughts on them, bro. It'll be a group criticism or a group, maybe we all approve of it. So that'll be something to look forward to the end of the show. But yeah, get situated, guys. Let me go through some of these comments. Intro fire, content keeps improving. Hit the legs, people. My guy, Leak. Appreciate you, bro. Farhan, I heard you fell out with Ansu Fati. Me and Cam beefing over penalties. Is that what you were saying? Is that me and Cam? Just know, in a real penalty shootout, it's me taking over Cam every day of the week. Brother, I'm confused. In New York, we just turned the clocks 1 hour ahead. I actually knew that. Fair enough. I knew that, actually, on my LeBron James shit. Yes. Yes. No, nothing else to say, but yes. Yeah. What else we got? Welcome to the stream, Sammy. Big up you, bro. Big up Dennis. I see a few of the regulars on. Leo says we need Lias and Faisal link up. We need that. Yeah, we'll have him for sure on this show, man. Faisal, come on, bro. You know what this is. Ben, the Streets Arfa, who was sending in some amazing starts up sells last time, says, yeah, respect to the international fans, sick people calling them tourists when they finally get tickets to watch them live. Absolutely, bro. What is it? Support your local hype, bro. That shit is some mid. Are you going to have more football YouTubers on this show? Absolutely. Today it's just me solo. I tried getting you guys Rabona TV, but he was a little busy today. So, but going forward, 100%, I'm trying to get you guys as many collabs as possible. I'm trying to up the content every single time. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's break it up. Let's talk about this show that we got. Before we break up each game and talk about them and talk about the matchups that we can see and the players to watch out for and the tactical breakdown and all that good stuff, let's first of all speak about the draw that we got finished watching today. Inter Milan versus SL Benfica. Bayern München versus Manchester City. Real Madrid versus Chelsea. And AC Milan versus Napoli. And we also know the semifinals, or potentially what the semifinals will look like. The winner of Inter versus Benfica will go on to play the winner of Milan versus Benfica, or Milan versus Napoli, excuse me. And the winner of Real Madrid versus Chelsea will go on to play Manchester City versus Bayern Munich. I'm very excited about it. As you can probably tell, I haven't stopped smiling, in fact, since I reacted to it live this morning. because the first ever 8 p.m. in Europe show I did, guys, was about the Super League. And I kept saying, right, that the theme of that video wasn't so much that, oh, I want to see a Super League to see all the elites back on top and Barca and Real and Juve got all this money. That wasn't my reasoning for why I wanted a Super League or why I wanted more parity. I told you that as a guy that grew up watching the old classic teams like the Bayerns and the Dortmunds and the Benficas and the Portos and the Inters and the Milans. I felt it was sad seeing the current state of them when they have to go up against Europe's elite. They can't compete with the Premier League teams because of financial, just the financial muscle is night and day. So for me, to see that we will be guaranteed a Champions League final that involves Napoli, Benfica, Inter, or AC Milan is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see. Now, in terms of the competitiveness of that final, that's another thing completely. But I look at Napoli this year. I look at Benfica this year. I believe that they can go toe-to-toe with any single team on the planet. In fact, they've shown it numerous times this season. Napoli, we've seen them thrash Liverpool. We've seen them beat up every team in their way in Italy. Benfica, we saw them beat PSG, or they drew PSG both legs. I don't think they conceded a single goal in those games. So these are top teams. And of course, the Milan clubs are not the Milan clubs of old, the Kakas and the Melitos and so on and so forth, but they're still good teams in their own right too. I'm telling you this right now. If we already get an Inter versus AC semifinal, I will be there no matter what at the San Siro. I've always said, guys, that my dream as a kid was to go to the San Siro and watch a Milan derby. That's been my dream as a child. And I know that the San Siro is, in fact, I think they're breaking it down soon to build a new improved stadium. And I think they're trying to build separate stadiums for both teams. Don't quote me on that. I might be wrong. But I definitely need to see a Milan derby at the San Siro. So if it happens in the Champions League final, that would be amazing to see, guys. Fabrice here makes a good point, by the way. People, once you tune in, please like the video. It really helps. Share and subscribe to FTBL. My guy. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. But on the other side, we look at massive powerhouses. I mean, I think people kind of looked at the Champions League quarterfinal before a draw was made, before a ball was picked, and saw that the four favorites in their eyes were who? Napoli, who, of course, we just spoke about, are on the left-hand side of the bracket. But on the other side, Manchester City, Bayern, Real Madrid, the three heavyweights left in this competition that hold weight. Two of the three hold tradition, and all three of them hold star power. So to see that one of the draws we got is Bayern versus Manchester City, which is, for me, is crazy, right? That for me is the draw of the round. That's unbelievable in terms of everything I just brought up: star quality, coaching, tradition, heavyweights. That's a heavyweight fight right there. And then Chelsea versus Real Madrid. And the Champions League is funny, right? Because Chelsea Real Madrid, I remember when it got pulled in 2020, 2021, when it got decided. I think it was the first time in over 20 years that those two had faced each other in European competition. Lo and behold, 3 years later, we've seen them 3 years in a row now playing against each other. The first round, of course, went to Chelsea as they won the Champions League. Last season, they played again. Real Madrid won as they went on to win the Champions League. So will we see another repeat of that? Could the winner of the Champions League come again from the winner of Chelsea, Real Madrid? We will have to see. But who shall we start with? 4 very tasty fixtures. Let's start. I said City tradition. I said 2 of the 3. Real Madrid, Bayern have the tradition. Don't misquote me here, guys. I would never say Manchester City have tradition. I said that they're growing an identity last show, but they do not have tradition yet. Let's not get carried away. Let's start about the first fixture, and for me, again, like I said, the heavyweight fight of the tie, or of the round, and that's Manchester City versus Bayern Munich. Guys, it's the return of Pep Guardiola to the Allianz Arena. It's the return of João Cancelo to the Etihad. It's the return of Leroy Sané to the Etihad. There's a lot of storylines throughout this tie. But I think the biggest one for me is the fact that you're potentially looking at the 2 best squads. Not teams, not who has the best chance of winning the Champions League, but the 2 best squads, the 2 best starting 11s, potentially in the competition. Manchester City are a weird team for me, because I definitely agree with people who would say that they've gotten worse in England this year. Domestically, there's no doubt about it. This, for me, is the weakest Manchester City team I have seen since Pep Guardiola's first year at the club. And that's when he was still starting Claudio Bravo. I'm pretty sure Fernando was still getting games back then. Mangala, I believe, was still getting games back then. It was really a transition year between the Pellegrini season and what we would end up seeing in 17-18, the 100-point team with Pep. This, for me, is the worst team domestically over a 38-game season since that original team. But I've kept saying it on preview shows, to Cam, off camera. This Manchester City team, for me, might be the best equipped when it comes to knockout round football, especially in the Champions League. And obviously, the name that stands out, the main difference between this team, the teams that have quite obviously failed in the past to win this Champions League, is Erling Haaland. And I want to start with him, guys, because I've been a little uncomfortable reading the dialogue, the conversation that's been going on since Erling Haaland netted 5 goals against RB Leipzig. Because when Messi scored 5 goals against against Bayer Leverkusen back in 2012, back in 2012 when Messi scored 5 goals against Bayer Leverkusen, we rightfully heralded it as an unbelievable accomplishment. I mean, I think he might have chipped Bernd Leno 5 times in that game, or 3 times in that game, guys. 3 separate times he went one-on-one with Bernd Leno. It felt like he chipped him every single time. And that was really Messi in the midst of the 91-goal season. He was unbelievable. That's the best player I always say that I've ever seen in my life. For me, that's my GOAT. Debate Ronaldo or Messi all you want. That version of Messi was just disgusting. But Erling Haaland scores 5 goals, and it seems like the conversation, it seems like the massive agreement is that, I mean, he plays for Man City, and he plays for a team that has the ball all the time, and he's just tapping the ball into the back of the net, and they're not incredible finishes. I don't get it, man. Quite frankly, I don't get it. Maybe I'm missing something here, guys, but last time I checked, football is not basketball. Football is not a sport that when you score outside of the box, you get 3 points for a goal. Football is not a sport that if you score a bicycle kick, you get 2 points for a goal. If you dribble 6 players and score a goal, you don't get 3 throws at the end of it. It's not an N1. This isn't the NBA, guys. Goals are goals. And quite frankly, I have never seen a striker at this age score goals the way Erling Haaland does. At this age that Erling Haaland is at, I've never seen a striker score goals the way he does. Because especially at this age, I'm going to bring up Zlatan, for example. This is going to be the example that I bring up, Zlatan. Because Zlatan, for me, when you talk about talent, when you talk about complete footballer, clears Haaland. That's not even a conversation, in my opinion. I believe Zlatan is one of the most naturally gifted center forwards that the game has ever seen, let alone the modern game, let alone compared to Haaland. The guy is a freak. But I remember Zlatan Ibrahimovic when he was younger. And I remember the dialogue and the conversation around him when he was younger. And it was that Zlatan was too in love with the ball. Zlatan was obsessed with having the ball at his feet. Zlatan was obsessed with dropping deep and getting involved with plays. Zlatan was obsessed with not staying in the 6-yard box and instead choosing to be on the ball more. In fact, Fabio Capello told him, "You're too in love with the football." And Fabio Capello instructed Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Fabio Capello instructed Zlatan Ibrahimovic to sit down, lock himself in a room, and binge watch compilations of Marco van Basten. Effectively to tell him that, look, you have all of the physical and technical tools to be a guy that can score 20, 30, 40, 50 goals a season, but you're too in love with the ball. You have to be obsessed with scoring goals. Cristiano Ronaldo, arguably his peak in terms of as a complete footballer, was playing on the wing, his early years at Madrid, his final years at United, where he was scoring 40 goals and dribbling past players. But when Ronaldo became an unstoppable force and started winning Champions League for fun, it's when he completely realized and sacrificed parts of his game to completely dedicate himself to being a goal-scoring machine and nothing more than that. I think of 16, 17, noodle hair Ronaldo. The guy was just obsessed with scoring goals, and he did it for fun. 17 goals, I think, twice in the Champions League. Absolutely ridiculous. But I go back to Zlatan to say, Zlatan at the age of Erling Haaland was not scoring goals at the rate that Erling Haaland was, bro. He was too obsessed with the football. So when I see Erling Haaland so willing to effectively sacrifice parts of his game or be so not even sometimes non-existent in build-up, but for the sole purpose of scoring goals and winning games for his team, I think it's remarkable because that takes a certain amount of maturity and poise to really not want to be like a dog chasing a car. Because that's what a lot of young center forwards and a lot of young forwards are like. They're so obsessed with being on the ball at all the time and being involved and getting touches of the ball that they forget the main facet of being a striker, guys, is to put the ball in the back of the net. And I keep saying it, Erling Haaland at this age, people can say Suarez at this age was not doing this, guys. Zlatan at this age was not doing this. Lewandowski was on the midst of joining Blackburn at this age, bro. Like, we need to understand what we're watching here. Another point, that the ball just falls to Erling Haaland and he's like right place, right time, or it's luck. That's nonsense, guys. I don't know how I can tell you guys this and get it through your heads that it's nonsense that a player like Erling Haaland scores the goals he does through luck. There's a reason why in big games, the ball used to always fall to Cristiano Ronaldo. People used to say the same thing about Ronaldo. I remember during that period when Real Madrid were three-peating. Oh, right place, right time. He just got lucky. It always falls to him. It's tap-in merchant. It's an open goal. There's a reason why guys like Ronaldo and like guys now like Erling Haaland are always available for the tap-in. They're always available when Akanji heads the ball and the goalkeeper saves it and it falls right to Erling Haaland. There's a reason why Haaland is always the player right there. Why isn't it Mahrez? Why isn't it Julian Alvarez? Why isn't it Kevin De Bruyne? Why isn't it Jack Grealish? Because Erling Haaland's instincts, his goal-scoring instincts, the guy's a fox in the box, bro. The guy is a goal-scoring predator, one that we have not seen at this age since the guy I just brought up, Marco van Basten. So I just want to talk a little bit about Haaland in that regard, bro. Look, Dennis here says R9 was the best player in the world at 22-23. I didn't say I've never seen a player like Erling Haaland at this age. I never said that. There are many strikers that are better footballers than Erling Haaland. There's so many better footballers off the top of my head than Erling Haaland. But as a goal scorer, guys, let's think purely as a goal scorer. You can't name me 5 guys under the age of 23 that have been better goal scorers in recent memory than Erling Haaland. It's impossible to do it, bro. It's impossible. The numbers are jaw-dropping. I'm pretty sure statistically it's only Marco van Basten at this age who scored a better goals per game ratio than Erling Haaland. And people will say, oh, he does it for Man City. They create countless chances for him. They have 90% possession every game. Go look at his record at Dortmund, guys. It's basically a goal a game. Go look at his record at Salzburg. I think he was the youngest player ever to score a hat-trick in the Champions League. Go look at his record for Mold. This guy at every single level, guys, will score you goals. Cam said it best. I think at Bournemouth, he would score you 20 goals. I think at Bournemouth, he would genuinely be in Golden Boot conversations. It just helps that he's at City, where the best creators, the best footballing side on the planet in terms of pure football. I just want to speak about Haaland a bit. Do I think Haaland is better than Mbappe? No, that's a totally different subject. I think, again, there are a lot of better footballers than Erling Haaland. But when it comes to putting the ball in the back of the net, this guy will be the best goal scorer in world football until the day he retires. It's as simple as that, guys. And I know a lot of people who are purists who like seeing players who entertain you more. This isn't your cup of tea. That's absolutely fine. Erling Haaland is not in the top 50 players for me that I would go and buy a ticket to go watch. There are 50 players minimum that I would rather go watch a player entertain me than Erling Haaland. But in terms of purely putting the ball in the back of the net, the art of goal scoring, Erling Haaland is Picasso, bro. Erling Haaland is Leonardo da Vinci. It's as simple as that. And without basically making this the whole Erling Haaland show, let's talk about this tie a bit, because at the end of the day, this is a Champions League quarterfinal prediction preview show. Manchester City versus Bayern. Because on the other side, Bayern Munich have weapons, guys. I think, again, you look at the entire squad, this for me might be the best squad in Europe. 23-man squads. I think it might be the best. I mean, the fact that Jan Sommer is your backup goalkeeper for me is outstanding. How many other clubs can claim that? The only weakness really that they have, and so far it hasn't been a weakness because he's scoring in Champions League games and coming up clutch, is up front with Choupo-Moting. I think that'll have to be a position that next season Bayern Munich have to look to strengthen. But outside of that, and again, that's not even a huge problem because of how he's playing at the moment, the squad is unbelievable. You look at the wing options that they have. Kingsley Coman, Serge Gnabry, who albeit is not at the level that Gnabry was a few seasons ago, is still Serge Gnabry. Leroy Sané, Jamal Musiala, Sadio Mane coming back from injury. Again, another guy who's not at his peak level, but still an unbelievable weapon to call upon. The midfield, Kimmich, Goretzka. Gravenberch can get a kick for this team, bro. He can get a kick of the ball. Fullbacks, João Cancelo, Benjamin Pavard, Alphonso Davies. But the two I really want to speak about, guys, is the center back pairing of Matthijs de Ligt and Dayot Upamecano. I think these two are some of the most disrespected footballers of the last few years. People have really just written them off and forget that youngsters need time to be bedded in to reach their peak, to iron out the mistakes. Because these two this season have been nothing short of phenomenal. Upamecano and de Ligt have risen this season. I want to start with Matthijs de Ligt. I don't think people really grasp how impressive it is to captain your club, your boyhood club at that, to a Champions League semifinal, into league titles, into big games in Europe, big wins at the Santiago Bernabeu and beating Bayern Munich at the age of what, 19 years old? What Matthijs de Ligt did that campaign for Bayern, for Ajax, was practically unheard of. Not many center backs ever can claim to have a campaign at that age, captaining their team to that level of success. And he got his big move off the back of that to Juventus. And I think it was difficult for him. I think it was really difficult because Juventus, for me, were a team in transition at that point. They were a team battling between two windows because they had signed Cristiano Ronaldo. And when you sign Cristiano Ronaldo, your objective is always win now. But the team just was not at that level, bro. It was not at the level of competing for Champions Leagues. It was Ronaldo and 10 others. And I think De Ligt struggled with that. No doubt about it, he had flaws in his game. I've always thought that he's a bit flat-footed. I've always thought that he's a bit heavy. But I've never doubted him as a player. He's a phenomenal defender. In the art of defending, Matthijs de Ligt is phenomenal. And he has leadership skills that, again, some players never reach in their entire career. He hit it at 19 years old. So for me, it was never a question of would Matthijs de Ligt ever live up to his potential. It would just be a simple case of when. So credit to Julian Nagelsmann for looking at this guy over the summer and saying, I'm going to forget the last few seasons that you've had with Juventus. I'm going to forget the last few tournaments that you've had with the Dutch in the Euros and the World Cup where you weren't that great. But I'm going to look at purely what you offer me as a defender, and I'm going to get the best out of it. And this season, he's been phenomenal. I think the block against PSG in the second leg, which arguably saves the tie. If Vitinha scores that in the first leg, the tie is flipped on its head. That's a massive moment, and it caps off what was a dominant performance from him over two legs. And his partner in crime is Dayot Upamecano, who I have been a massive fan of. You can go check the receipts on Twitter. You can go check previous videos I've made. I love Dayot Upamecano. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. But Dayot Upamecano, for me, is the prime example of when fans look at a player and see a flaw, they refuse to look past that flaw and see the player's strengths. Upamecano, his biggest weakness, especially in the past, I think he's done very well to iron it out as much as he has this season. But in the past, I think he's really struggled with balls over the top. Because I believe that Upamecano basically having to turn his body and then sprint back onto an onrushing attacker, that's not when Upamecano is at his best. I think he's a bit heavy. He's a bit flat-footed. And I don't think he turns his body with the greatest velocity, with the greatest speed. I think, look, the prime example I always bring is Rashford. That substitution appearance for United exposed Upamecano's flaws. But the problem was people were unwilling to look past those flaws. I think of Gabriel as another example. Gabriel was a player that had the bozo gene, so to speak, for so many years at Arsenal that it took them so long for people to realize that, there's so much more to his game outside of the errors. He's a phenomenal passer of the ball. He's aggressive. He's a beast in the air. And I think people are starting to finally notice this about Upamecano. Dayot Upamecano might be the best ball-playing center back in Europe. I think the only two that can really chat to him, and you could say are better than him, are Lisandro Martinez and Aymeric Laporte. I think those three are the best ball-playing center backs in Europe. But I think as well, Upamecano has also... athletically, the guy is a beast. And vocally, when you talk about the leadership skills that De Ligt is born with, Upamecano is not born with those. But I think he's done a very good job at improving that facet of his game because you see him a lot more vocal now. He is a leader in that back line. He's imposing. Guys don't want to get near him. He mixed those physical traits with an unbelievable finesse on the ball. I think you look at one of the best center back pairings in Europe, De Ligt and Upamecano. But this will be an interesting tie, guys, because I personally can't split them. I've been going back and forth all day. I'm interested in knowing who you guys compare. John Stones is another example. Okay. But is John Stones better than those three at purely ball playing, right? Purely passing the ball. I think you could make the argument. I wouldn't debate it. He can be in that conversation as well. Ball playing center backs, I could put him in there. But I look at that tie, guys. Manchester City versus Bayern Munich. It's very hard to call. Because I think each team wins in different facets. Midfield, I think Manchester City smokes them. I think midfield, Manchester City will get the better of them. In fact, I think midfield, Manchester City gets the best out of almost every team on the planet. Rodri, Bernardo, Gundogan, De Bruyne, when they're all free-flowing, when they're all on it, go get the ball off them. And I think Kimmich and Goretzka, that's just Kimmich, in my opinion. I'm not a huge fan of Goretzka. I think he has his uses, but on the ball, not a fan. So I think midfield-wise, they beat them there. There's a huge advantage there. Going forward, though, I think Manchester City have been accused this season, and rightfully so, of being a little flat, a little predictable. whether that's due to Erling Haaland, whether it's due to the change in philosophy Guardiola has had in regards to his wingers. I think there's validity in saying that the attack is a little more predictable than it was in the past. But on the other side, you look at Bayern's attack, which I just named some of the names. They're absolutely stunning. They're absolutely brilliant. Pep will definitely be playing with his 4 center backs. I think he's absolutely grown to love them in terms of Ake on the left, Stones on the right, Laporte and Ruben Diaz in the middle, or whether it's Akanji or someone else. It'll be interesting to see if those 4 center backs can nullify the threats of the attackers that I just mentioned. But then you look down the wings as well. Alphonso Davies is basically a left winger. Cancelo on the other side is basically a right winger. There's so many interesting storylines, but if I have to kind of pick a team, I think I bring it back to the coaches. Pep versus Julian Nagelsmann. I'm a fan of both. Pep, I think I don't have to speak about him, right? One of the greatest of all time. Nagelsmann, I'm a fan. I've always been a fan. I think he's a flawed manager, but I think he's also like a mad scientist manager. I have a lot of appreciation for him because I like managers who think outside of the box. And I think Nagelsmann, you have to appreciate that about him. He tinkers. He comes up with solutions to different games. He comes up with solutions that you would never even thought. Sometimes it's naive, and I think it's hurt him in the past. I look at the Juventus tie a few years or last season. I look at some of the Leipzig games. But I think when he gets it right, his team is outstanding. But I just see this as a tie where I think Pep will outsmart Julian Nagelsmann. I think Pep has been accused of outsmarting himself in the past, but I think this is a tie that if I have to look at both managers, I think Pep gets the better of Nagelsmann, just through pure experience, in my opinion. So although I rate Bayern Munich extremely highly as a team, I actually think I go with City. And I keep saying it on every show, guys. There's something about City for me in the Champions League this year. I don't know if they're going to win it, but I keep saying it. I will not be shocked if they do. Because I've seen so many times where a team, their best version of the team never gets it done in Europe. I think of Chelsea as the prime example. Throughout the 2000s, they had this unbelievable team. Sometimes they had the best team in Europe, and they could never get it done. And then, lo and behold, the last season where Drogba is there, the end of Lampard, the end of Terry, the end of Petr Cech, that's when they all bring it together in their worst ever season and win the Champions League. I've seen it quite a few times. I mean, Bayern, 2012 or 2011-12, such an unbelievable team. 12-13, they go one step further when everyone rules them out. Same with Real Madrid. I wouldn't be surprised if Manchester City wins the Champions League this year. Culture Cam's in the chat here. He says, stop fence sitting. Who's winning the Champions League? I said at the start of the season, I wanted SDS. I said Manchester City. So I think I have to stick by them. I've been consistent with Manchester City winning the Champions League, and I keep saying I wouldn't be surprised. So I'll stop sitting on the fence. If I had to make a prediction, I would predict Man City to win the Champions League. I'm not putting all my chips on the table here. I'm not saying I'm going to put money on it. I'm not saying Manchester City will win the Champions League, but if I had to make a prediction, I think it's City's year, bro. And I think with Haaland, the guy in the Champions League, bro, he's the new Mr. Champions League. He's taken the mantle from Cristiano Ronaldo. His record is absolutely outstanding. I mean, him and Mbappe. So yeah, I'll go out on a limb here. I'll say Manchester City. Let me know, guys, though. Talk to me about Bayern. Obviously, I'm sure a few of you guys are Bayern fans in here. Yo, Cam, say it ain't so. Ash decided to show face. Ash, where were you yesterday, bro? We were waiting for you. we wanted to talk about the Arsenal game with you, bro. We wanted to do super chats and all that stuff. No? Wasn't feeling it? Ay. Please rise, Ash. Please rise. Let's go to the next game. Let me know as well, guys, who you guys think are going to win that game, Manchester City versus Bayern Munich. I should go through a few of these chats because I kind of went on a monologue right there. Let me know who you guys think is going to win that. Going to do a watch along for the Champions League. Hopefully, we're going to try and get those on the channel for sure. We definitely will. Enrique here says Musiala will show Foden the meaning of English hype. That's going to be an interesting battle right there because Foden, as of late, guys, has kind of got back to that level that he was a few seasons ago when City went to the finals. So Foden versus Musiala, I'm there for that matchup, bro. I'm very excited to see that. The Haaland record versus Bayern ain't good. Uncomfortable conversations. Yes, I ain't lying. Yeah, that's true. But you look at Borussia Dortmund's record as a whole going to Bayern. It's not great in general. So Haaland, what's that meme, right? I'm coming with a squad this time, bro. You thought you beat me. I'm coming with the whole militia this time. That'll be interesting, man. When you compare Haaland and Messi's 5-goal performances, do you really compare as a whole? Look, the 5-goal performances Messi had the better performance. Messi's the better footballer. I'm not disagreeing with that. But at the end of the day, 5 goals is 5 goals. Messi's 5 goals didn't count for more than Erling Haaland's 5 goals. That's all I'm saying. I think people overrate the importance of how good a goal is sometimes, right? 5 goals is 5 goals. We're not going to downplay that now, man. We're not going to pretend like 5 goals is just some everyday thing. There's only 2 players in the history of the Champions League to score 5 goals in a game. It's Messi and it's Haaland. Let's respect that, man. Musiala doing 3 dribbles only not to score. I'll be there. Musiala's goal numbers are good this year, bro. I don't know this narrative that's building that Musiala is just a dribbling merchant. Musiala has been doing his thing, bro. Dana asks, why don't you do a watch-along collab with SDS? Sharky, let's talk business, bro. Let's talk business, Sharky. Let's talk business, Faisal. Let's talk business. I won't rule it out. Does Pep surpass Ferguson of another Champions League, or has he already? Maybe that's a conversation for another day, Exotic, because I'll be here all day. Fergie's my guy, but I've been on the record that I think Pep will retire surpassing him. Whether it takes another Champions League, whether it takes a few more league titles, I think it'll happen. I don't know if it'll happen with this Champions League, but uncomfortable conversations. But those are my 2 GOATs, to be honest with you. Those are the 2 best that I've seen. Very interested in the tactical approach both managers will take. Both teams have been flexible formations, etc. 3 at the back. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Nagelsmann, I keep telling you, bro, this is one of my favorite managers at neutral. If he was my coach, though, like real life coaching United, I think I'd rip my hair out. Because you can never predict him. He plays, for me, not the extent of kamikaze football that Hansi Flick does, but to an extent, a little bit of kamikaze football. I think his teams can be accused in the past of playing too gung-ho, too naive, too aggressive. But I love watching his teams play as a neutral, bro. What do I keep telling you guys about Napoli? What do I keep telling you guys about my favorite teams? I like direct football. I like football with a purpose. I like football with a main objective being how many goals can we score? How can we outscore the opposition? I think Nagelsmann involves that heavily in his principles, while also incorporating things like juego de posición, positional play, while also incorporating joga. Like I think he incorporates all that stuff while also incorporating direct attacking, fast-paced football. I look at him a bit like Arteta. I think Arteta is a lot less naive. I think Arteta's defenses are set up a lot better, but I see small similarities between the 2. Small similarities. Okay. Let's go to the next game. The winner of Manchester City versus Manchester City versus Bayern Munich. They will play the winner of Chelsea versus Real Madrid. The first time was so nice, they had to do it 2 more times. 2020-21, the first time that these guys played each other in like 20 years. Chelsea, we all know how that went on. They went to Real Madrid's training ground, got a draw, went back to Stamford Bridge, won. They ended up winning the whole Champions League. And then next season, last year, Real Madrid, they flip it up. They go to Stamford Bridge. Karim Benzema was scoring his 2nd hat-trick in a row. The first one against PSG, the second one at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea. They get a 3-1 win. They go back to the Bernabeu. Chelsea actually put on this unbelievable performance. Tuchel, for me, coached a masterclass. And it was just, for me, player quality on both sides that ended up separating it. I mean, that pass from Luka Modric, that's good enough to win any game of football. And it was definitely good enough to win that game of football. And now, 3rd time. And of course, like I said, Real Madrid go on to win the Champions League from that. So it'll be interesting. Does the winner of the Champions League yet again come from the winner of Chelsea versus Real Madrid? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not so sure, to be honest with you. I'm not so sure. I think this is... I don't want to say comprehensive, because with Real Madrid, I don't think they're ever comprehensive in the Champions League. I think their wins are always nail-biting. They're always last minute. They're always on the edge of your seat, and they come up with a shocking ending. They don't really comprehensively wipe the... I mean, to be fair, they just beat Liverpool 5-2. But for the most part, they like to make things interesting. So I don't think they're going to absolutely wipe the floor of Chelsea, and especially because Chelsea, as of late, have looked pretty good. I'm starting to see signs of an actual footballing team from Graham Potter as of late. Of course, the Dortmund game, I actually predicted they would win, just because you look at Champions League heritage from both those teams. Dortmund, I will never be able to fully trust in Europe. And Chelsea, I'll always be able to trust in Europe. They just know how to get it done Wednesday nights at Stamford Bridge, under the lights. But when you talk about footballing heritage in the Champions League, Liverpool just learned this the hard way. It doesn't matter how much heritage you think you have on a European night, Real Madrid will always usurp you. They always will. These are the kings of Europe for a reason. The Santiago Bernabeu, the white kits, the anthem that plays after every single goal. You guys know the one I'm talking about. This is football heritage. This is what they do, man. Real Madrid, the kings of Europe. And I mean, first of all, who would have imagined? Imagine telling Graham Potter at the start of the season. He was coaching Brighton, by the way, if you didn't know. Coaching Brighton beginning of the season, preparing for his team to head to Leeds or wherever they were playing second game of the week. Graham Potter, March time, late March, you'll be taking your team, which won't be Brighton. You'll be taking your team to the Santiago Bernabeu, the most prestigious stadium in the world, to go play against the 14 times Champions League winners, Real Madrid. He would have called you crazy, bro. He would have asked you who spiked your drink. So fair play to him. That's an unbelievable rise in the last 6 to 8 months. Like Siri here says, 9th division to the Bernabeu. It's absolutely ridiculous. And credit to him. Like I said, bro, Chelsea are looking better. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Enzo. Kim, he's learning the game with Enzo. I've been on Enzo, to be honest with you. I put in my group stage team of the Champions League. I thought he was brilliant at Benfica, even in such a short amount of time. The World Cup, I was begging Scaloni to put him into the team. And of course, we saw what he ended up doing when he did come into the team. Young player of the tournament. And he had his early missteps at Chelsea. Obviously, we think of his failure to close down my man, the guy from Dortmund. I completely forgot. Karim, whatever his name is, Adeyemi, excuse me. That was poor from him. We've seen him in the Premier League. There's been some shaky moments from him. But Enzo, for me, is a top player. And I think he's actually a player that's being played slightly out of position in terms of, I think, you put a destroyer next to him or you put a number 6 next to him or a higher NG midfielder next to him. And that allows Enzo to hop into his DLP bag. I love the comparison that Fuad gave. Xabi Alonso. I don't think it's the worst comparison in the world. I don't know if it's completely accurate, but I like it. I think of a more physical Cesc Fabregas or a more physical Toni Kroos. I see comparisons in their level of passing compared to Enzo. I think he's, honestly, guys, that level of talent. You guys might think that's crazy, but we're talking about the most expensive midfielder in the history of the game. The kid is a star. The kid is the real deal. He can absolutely, for me, reach the levels of some of the midfielders I'm just talking about. And it'll be very interesting to see how he does against the likes of Luka Modric, Toni Kroos, obviously Aurélien Tchouameni, who we expect to be back, Edouard Camavinga. That's a top midfield. And the trump card for me with Chelsea is N'Golo Kante. Will N'Golo Kante be back for the Champions League? And more importantly, will he be back looking like the N'Golo Kante that we know and love? Because for me, N'Golo Kante has been the trump card for Chelsea in the past, especially in this tournament. Jorginho, I know, won Champions League Player of the Year, UEFA Player of the Year that one year, and I know he came third in the Ballon d'Or, but N'Golo Kante, for me, was the best player for Chelsea during that run. I think he won 4 man of the matches in 5 games. The Champions League final against City is an all-timer performance from a midfielder. Ran the show against Real Madrid a few seasons ago. Big games, N'Golo Kante is your guy. I can barely remember any big games where N'Golo Kante really didn't turn up. And ironically, one of them is the World Cup final, where I think he was actually ill. That's the only reason. That's the only way you can hold back N'Golo Kante from balling in a big game. And I'm very interested actually in seeing that midfield too in the future if it does end up going long term. N'Golo Kante and Enzo Fernandez. It'll be interesting. You look throughout the pitch and there's very interesting subplots. I don't know if Thiago Silva will be back. I don't think so. So Benzema will be up against Wesley Fofana and he'll be up against Koulibaly. But Benzema was really the talking point last season, guys. Benzema was the star of world football last year. And I compared it last year to Batman and Robin. Benzema was, of course, Batman. Everything went through him, the creator and the goal scorer of the team. As a striker, I can't remember many strikers in the last 10 years playing as important a role as Benzema did last year. And he won the Ballon d'Or, top scorer in the Champions League. It was unbelievable. And on his side was Robin. Vinicius Jr., who last year I crowned him. If the Premier League had a most improved player, it would have been Vinicius Jr. last year. He took this leap and embraced this new role and embraced this newfound responsibility that Ancelotti bestowed on him and was the ultimate fold, the ultimate sidekick for big body Benz, for Karim Benzema. But this year, the roles have kind of flipped. Benzema has been injured. Benzema has come back and he's looked out of fitness. Recently, he doesn't look match fit whatsoever. It looks like he's playing at 50%. I mean, you look at the goal he scored, he's literally limping at the end of it. He looks tired, fatigued. He's still doing his thing because he's a brilliant player. But Benzema is not Benzema of last year. And I told Rabona TV, my worry about Real Madrid is they were so dependent on Benzema and Vinicius last year that if both of them are not performing at the level that they did last year, who's scoring goals for them? What I didn't take into account, though, is that in the absence of Benzema as the elite 9 that we know he is, Vinicius, guys, has embraced this newfound role and has embraced the responsibility of being the best player on this team. Vinicius is the best footballer at Real Madrid this year. He is the goal scorer, the creator, the go-to guy, the I'm him, the star, the alpha, the A1, the A side, whatever you want to call it. Vinicius Jr. is that for Real Madrid. And I love to see it, to be honest with you. Because I think in the modern game where we have a lot of criticism for forwards and that they don't take enough risks, or especially the modern day winger is more concerned with runs to score goals in terms of like runs off the ball to score goals, or combining with fullbacks, or what do you need to unlock a defender or unlock a winger. We hear that a lot, right? We look at the two wingers at United. How do we unlock Sancho? How do we unlock Anthony? Vinicius is like, allow all that, bro. Allow unlocking me, bro. I'll unlock the opposition defender. Give me the ball and let's dance. Showtime. Vinicius gets on the ball, bro, and just bamboozles defenders. Just makes them look ridiculous. And he's always been able to do that back in his Flamengo days. But obviously the last 2 seasons, but this season in particular, he's doing it with such an emphaticness, with such a goal-scoring mentality attributed to that. Every run, every movement, every action that Vinicius does is with the sole intention of I'm going to score or create a goal at the end of it. And I absolutely love that. I think in the beginning of his tenure at Real Madrid, he was very raw. Let's not get it twisted. Not a little raw. He was very raw. It was more so about entertainment and freestyling at certain points. But Vinicius these days is a cold-blooded killer. And he's managed to do it without basically killing off the side of the game that we all love to see, the entertainment side of things. Because I think in the modern game, right, you see a lot of wingers almost feel that they have to sacrifice the all-out dribbling and taking players on to become more efficient players in front of goal. But Vinicius has not sacrificed any of that. He's still the same Showtime Brazilian footballer that we love to see while adding the goals and assists. And I absolutely love Vinicius at this point, bro. Watching him puts a smile on my face. He's one of my favorite footballers on the planet at this moment. But he'll have his hands full, man, because Reece James is a tough opposition. This isn't Trent. Reece James is not Trent Alexander-Arnold. He might not have the ability on the ball in terms of being able to put the ball on a plate to whoever on the pitch he wants to. But Reece James is a top athlete. He's a focused defender. He's a physical specimen, and he'll make Vinicius work both sides of the ball. Defensively, he'll be a handful for Vinicius. And he'll also take the ball at him and whoever is playing left back, perhaps Nacho Fernandez for 90 minutes. I'm very interested in seeing that because we remember last season, bro. Vinny versus Reece James. Reece James had his number. Of course, Vinny had a few moments in each tie where he managed to create goals for Benzema. But over 90 minutes, Reece James had his number. And that's a matchup I'm very excited to see. But ultimately, guys, I think you rule out Real Madrid at your own peril, especially in the Champions League. I never used to believe in this whole heritage thing and that, Real Madrid on Champions League nights are just different. I never used to believe in it. I kept saying to myself eventually, like, yo, it has to be luck. It has to be just like something. Opposition teams just don't have the mentality or something. But Real Madrid, bro, they're a different beast in Europe. Watching them in La Liga compared to watching them in the Champions League on Wednesday and Tuesday nights is completely different. And I don't expect to be any different against Chelsea. I think they will beat Chelsea. Not comprehensively. I think Chelsea will have something for them. But Chelsea are at the start of their transition. They're at the start of their rebuild. Real Madrid are smack dab in the middle of a team that is looking and hungry to win back-to-back Champions Leagues. And for that reason, I got Real. I got Real over 2 legs. And I don't expect any of you guys to have anything differently, to be honest with you. I'm guessing you don't watch Madrid a lot, but Vinny has been great in the final third in the league. He took a step back from last year. I agreed with that, James. I actually agreed with that early, like a few weeks ago. I was on stream saying I actually think Rodrigo might have been better than Vinicius as of late this season. But since then, bro, the last few weeks, and especially obviously against Liverpool, bro, you can't argue that the guy has been outstanding. He has accepted the responsibility as Real's go-to guy. And in front of goal, I think he's been terrific. I agree with you. There was a point in the season where I definitely agreed that I thought he was struggling without Benzema. But as of late, bro, he's him. He's absolutely him. Vinny said Reece was the hardest person he's ever played against. I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. I'm not surprised. The last young dribbler who impressed me like Vinny was Sané at early Manchester City. I think Kvaratskhelia as well, GD. As a winger, I know he's a different style of winger to the two of them, but he's up there in my opinion. Musiala, of course, too, even though he's not really a winger like the two of them. Vinny, man, what's not to like? Facts. Damn, using my nation as a violent. What are they saying? Vinny is Somali, bro. He beat the Somali allegations time ago. Don't do that. Vinny is no longer Somali. Vinny is fully from the streets of Sao Paulo now, bro. Few years ago, I heard the allegations, but these days, bro, Vinny is as Brazilian as he comes. And in fact, I don't like bringing up his name because he's a wrong in these days. But Vinny, for me, is what Robinho should have been. I remember early Robinho at Real Madrid, and even the first season at Manchester City. We saw signs of a player that was like, yo, this is a Ballon d'Or level talent. This guy, if he gets it all together, can be him. Never ended up getting it all together. And whether it was distractions, whether it was no end product, whatever it was, he never put it all together. Vinny is managing to do that while giving us that flair, that excitement, that Brazilian joga bonito that we all love to see. And I'm here for it, man. I'm absolutely here for it. Rudiger and Militao are shutting down Chelsea's attack. Rudiger's another one that he'll be going back to Chelsea. That'll be interesting, that kind of matchup. There are storylines all throughout these ties, guys. Lias, another game where he didn't show up was last season against Madrid, specifically second leg. He was at fault for 2 Madrid goals. Who are we talking about here? Is it N'Golo Kante? Yeah, N'Golo Kante actually, was it at the Bernabeu? Wasn't great. Kovacic at the Bernabeu last season was unbelievable. I remember that game. Fair enough. That's a good show. Kante can never beat the Modric test. I mean, 2020, 21, bro. He had something for him. Hazard must stay healthy. Don't joke with that one. Rodrigo, I'm not even going to give you the honor of reading that entire comment. It's over. Let it go, bro. It's over. AMH, damn, I missed 40 minutes. We talked about City, bro. We haven't talked about Napoli, so you're good on that front. Kante schooled us when we played him a few years ago, but I think he's finished, bro. Potentially. Hi, please. Can you? I don't know if that's Ashley Butterly. I hope I'm not saying one of those like Don Robbie, right? AFTV. He'd be reading out these crazy names and they clip him up. I hope I didn't do that, but shout out Ashley Butterly. Okay, I'm saying those very distinctly. That's a name. That's not, you ain't clowning me like that. But shout out you, bro. Shout out you. What else do we got? Jez3 says, Lias, remember a couple of episodes ago you said you couldn't see Madrid doing it again. Man, I've learned my lesson last year. I think they will defend their title once again. Bernabeu on Champions League nights is fired. Yeah. I don't see them doing it again. But I'm also very willing to accept, guys, that there's a good chance I'm wrong. I'm not ruling them out whatsoever. But it's tough winning Champions League 2 years in a row, bro. The fact that there's only been one team ever to do it twice and then even 3 times was that great Real Madrid team, it's tough to do it 2 times in a row. So if this team does it, or you have Modric on his way out, Kroos on his way out, Benzema half fit, it would be an unbelievable accomplishment. It would also make my Ancelotti shouts look very, very foolish, bro. If he manages to win the Champions League with this team, it'd be tough, bro. It'd be absolutely tough. Potter might be made for knockout football, very flexible tactically, and adjust the opponents a lot. So far, we've seen a lot of good stuff, bro. People forget that in the Champions League group stage, he clowned on Milan twice. Beat Dortmund for me with ease in that second leg. So maybe you're right, bro. We'll see. But Real Madrid is tough. It's tough. I can't lie. If Saka had Vinny's pace, he'd be better at the same level. Of course, bro. But if what is it? If my aunt had wheels, she'd be a bike. Whatever you guys say. Did Robinho win the Champions League? No, he didn't. It's a super chat. You got to read it out. Where's the super chat? Did I miss one? Who sent a super chat in here? I don't think anyone sent one. Ben. If someone sent a super chat, let me know, bro. I didn't see one. Okay, we'll read a few more before we go to the next game. Lias, we going to the final. Let me answer this in a second when I talk about Inter, Saif. King Kong here thinks Real Madrid will play Bayern in the semifinals. It'd be a classic. That'd be a great tie. Real Bayern. I remember the amount of times though, Bayern Munich do not want to see Real Madrid. Let's just call a spade here, bro. They don't want to see them at all. Because Real Madrid have had their number for God knows how long. I think the last time Bayern beat Real Madrid over 2 legs was 2011-12 on penalties, where Ronaldo and Kaká missed penalties. That was the craziest game ever. Mourinho on his knees. That game was mental. Do you think... Okay, I think we already answered that one. He retracted it. Someone retracted the super chat. Fairs. Thoughts on Eder Militao? I think he's brilliant. Eder Militao, for me, this season has been a top 3 center back in the world. That good. Big fan. Vinny Johnny 28 with a 99-cent super chat. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you. Didn't say anything, but I appreciate that. Quoting on Arsenal Fan TV meme. All right, on to the next game. And Saif gives me a perfect segue into the next game. Internazionale di Milano, my second team, the team in my heart after Man United, Inter Milan, not AC, not Milan, Inter Milan. All right, you guys heard that, right? Inter Milan versus SL Benfica. You guys didn't see that. That was my one technical issue of the whole stream. One technical mishap of the whole stream. It won't happen again. The stream didn't die. We're back. I thought I could go the whole stream about it. Silly me. Inter Milan versus SL Benfica. What does SL stand for, by the way? Because it's not S. It's definitely SL, right? It's not Sporting Club de Benfica, right? SL. Let me know about SL. Marathi shutting me down. Chat, let me know about what SL stands for. Sporting Lisbon Benfica. Is that it? Sporting Lisbon Benfica. If that's it, that's crazy. Stream said, "Don't you ever claim it." Stream said, "Get that bullshit out of here, man." Inter hype. Sporting Lisbon Benfica. Can I tell the story about how about how that Milan thing ended up happening, by the way? Because I'm being serious. Inter is like my favorite team in Italy, even though I got love for Milan as well. But Inter is my team in Italy. Yeah, let me explain the story. I showed up to FTBL Culture that day wearing an SDS shirt. And Cam told me, Cam's like, yo, you got to change it, bro. We can't be repping SDS on FTBL. Shout out SDS, but he's right. I didn't have a backup shirt, but at the studio that we're at, we have football kits over there. We have Milan, we have Borussia Dortmund, we have a bunch of football kits there. And we all set it around a circle, around a round table. You guys have probably seen it. And I just picked up the Milan kit. I just put on the Milan kit. I threw my jacket over it. I completely forgot that was the one I picked up. Completely forgot. It was just random. I could have picked up the Dortmund one. I would have still said Inter is the team in my heart. It just happens that on that day, hey, put two and two together. That's what happened. But people were trying to dunk on me about that, saying like, oh, look what you said. Look what you said. I was like, bro, I posted the video. I know what I said. I told production, leave it in the video. It's all good. People be taking themselves too seriously. But anyways, big up Inter and big up Milan. Both great institutions of football, but Inter is always the team for me when it comes to that. And they will be playing Sporting Lisbon Benfica. Interesting. They're saying it's Cam's fault. Interessante. Inter versus Benfica is a tough game to call. Because on paper, I think Benfica are the better team. By far, actually. I think Benfica are a much better side than Inter. Inter are struggling. In fact, I think they might be third or second in the league. But regardless, for me, they're not a great team. Defensively, they survived by the skin of their teeth against Porto in the last round. I mean, the last 3, 4, 5 minutes of that game were insane. That's what football is all about. Porto had them on ropes. It isn't Sporting. It's Sport Lisbon, Benfica. Okay, fair enough. But they got lucky against Porto. Let's call a spade here. They got away with it in the first leg, Lukaku scoring that header. And in the second leg, Porto will be having sleepless nights for the next year about how they didn't score a winner in that game. But when you talk about heritage in Europe, guys, I'm not saying Inter are this team that have unbelievable Champions League heritage, but Benfica, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've seen promising Benfica teams go deep in competitions and find a way of shooting themselves in the foot. And we all know about the curse that Benfica has. I mean, I think someone has set a curse that as long as he's alive or as long as a certain amount of time, Benfica will never win a European trophy. And at this point, guys, I'll be real. That's the only thing that's stopping me from completely saying Inter have a chance in this, or Benfica have a chance in this Champions League. Because I think Benfica, on paper, are the better team. The coach, I rate Roger Schmidt infinitely more than Simeone and Inzaghi. I rate the players better. It'll be tough for Inter. It'll be very, very tough for Inter. I think this is the team for me that every single team in Europe wanted to draw. And Benfica will be happy that they got them. This guy's talking about Oscar Cardozo days. Cardozo, Luis Sao. Who else was part of those teams? Those great Benfica teams. Nico Gaitan, of course. Who was on the other side? Pablo Aimar was with them a bit. Nemanja Matic, David Luiz, Di Maria. Those Benfica teams were fun. But they always found a way of screwing it up. Vinny Johnny 28 says, give me a shout out, please. Love your videos. Big shout out to Vinny Johnny, bro. Appreciate your support, man. Appreciate the super chat as well. Big up you. Yeah, those Benfica teams were very, very fun to watch. Salvio is another one. Gaitan was the one I kept thinking as a United fan, we got to sign this guy. He never made the move. And eventually he got a big move to Atletico, just completely flopped, went off to China. I think now he's in the MLS. It never worked out for him. I hope Inter win. But guys, I don't have too much of a prediction or a preview for this because I just think Benfica are the much better side. Benfica, I saw some content creators who support English teams saying, I'd love a Benfica. I don't know why. Because if you've watched this team, they're unbelievable. They're 15 points clear of Sporting Club, who everyone was raving about yesterday for beating Arsenal. Benfica are 5 times the team that Sporting are. And Sporting are a great team. Benfica have problems for anyone. They didn't lose to PSG during the rounds. They beat Juventus comprehensively twice. Demolished Club Brugge. They're a great team. And they've shown that they lost one of the best midfielders on the planet mid-season. They haven't skipped a beat. Enzo Fernandez. They don't need Enzo. They look great without him. João Mario. Everyone remembers his stint at West Ham. He's balling out for Benfica these days. You look at Gonçalo Ramos, who I think, there's a few players that you should keep your eye out for in the quarterfinal of the Champions League this year. Obviously, Osimhen, if you haven't seen enough of him, you're a casual at this point. But make sure you check out Osimhen for Napoli. Gonçalo Ramos is another one that I look at the transfer market for strikers this year. He's going to be high up there. Him, Osimhen, Kane. Those are probably going to be the big 3 and potentially Vlahovic of strikers that the big European teams will be potentially after. Ramos is a problem. He's a sniper. He's a shooter. That guy's finishes are disgusting. Ezekiel Garay. You guys remember him? Hey, my Argentinian goat right there. So I think Benfica will beat Inter. I don't think it'll be a demolition job, but I think Inter will make it tough for them defensively. But I just don't see any outcome from this game or from this tie than Benfica beating Inter. This Inter team for me is a weird one because Inzaghi, it looks like he's on the cusp of being sacked, even though he has his team, second or third in Serie A and in the quarterfinals of the Champions League for the first time in God knows how long. But they're at a standstill, in my opinion. I think this Inter team needs a bit of a rebuild. It needs a bit of a refresher. Maybe even needs a new manager. I don't know if it's Antonio Conte, but they need something new about this team. Rafa Silva, that's another good one. Benfica are a problem. Benfica will beat them over 2 legs. Won't be like a demolition job, but they will beat them comfortably. It'll be 2-0 Benfica, but it'll be like it'll be decisive 2-0 for Benfica. Do you think Big Rom has something for Benfica? No. Romelu Lukaku is a heartbreaking tale in my opinion, because I know people love laughing at him. They all had their fun over the World Cup. But I like Lukaku. I can't even say it without a straight face. I like Lukaku. And I was someone who was saying a few years ago, especially when he won the league for Inter, that this is a guy that he's firmly now in his element. He looks like one of the best 5 strikers on the planet. At the time, I was saying, I think Benzema, Lewandowski, Haaland, Harry Kane, and Lukaku. That's the big 5. And did I lose sound? You guys can still hear me, right? Let me know. I think they can still hear me, AK. Lukaku was at one point at Inter really looking like finally living up to his potential. I loved what I was seeing from him. And I think Antonio Conte, as much as I criticize him, actually managed to get the best out of Lukaku. He found a way of A, getting him the best shape that he's ever been in his life, and B, actually playing to his strengths. Every manager in the past had played Lukaku as a target man, as someone that, I look at him and I see Didier Drogba, so therefore I'm going to put long balls in the box, play balls to his chest, make him play with his back to goal, headers. But although Lukaku is a physical specimen, he does not like playing with his back to goal. Lukaku is a player that would love playing with the opposition goal in front of him. He loves running the channels, especially that right-hand side. He loves being played through on goal. He loves getting the ball and quickly turning a defender rather than holding it up and getting others into play. And to be fair, Conte improved that side of his game massively. But that's the best version of Lukaku, and Conte recognized that. And the biggest mistake that Lukaku could ever make was going to Chelsea. When Inter, it was a team and a fan base that adored him. It was a league that suited him perfectly. He was living in Milan, for God's sakes. It's not London. It's not like Manchester. It's not some dreary place in Eastern Europe. It was Milan. the biggest mistake he could make was leaving Inter the first time around. And since then, obviously at Tuchel, for me, when you talk about a manager that got the best out of him, Tuchel got the worst out of him. He completely misprofiled him. He completely misused him. And I think Lukaku as well has completely let himself get out of shape. He has struggled massively with his injuries, with his fitness. The World Cup was a disaster, but it makes me sad because I really like Lukaku. I know a lot of people like to clown on him, like to clown the way he talks, say he's a meme. But I feel bad for him because this is a guy that has confidence in himself. He believed in himself so highly at one point. He was saying, "Oh, I'm a top 5 striker in the world. I belong here." And people clowned on him instead of, for me, getting behind him. And it's sad to see where he is at this stage in his career because Lukaku, let's not get it twisted, guys. I was talking about Haaland at that age. I haven't seen many strikers or as many goal scorers at the level of Erling Haaland at this age. Lukaku arguably was one of those guys. The guy was a wonder kid. The amount of goals that he scored at Anderlecht as a kid, at youth level, at West Brom, at Everton, he was a freak. So it's sad for me to see where he is at this point. But yeah, Benfica will win this tie easy, guys. Benfica will win this quite comfortably, in my opinion. I love how everyone is acknowledging the curses these days. Hey, they exist, bro. They exist. Count them out at your own feet. JGR says, Aymar, Cardozo, Di Maria, Matic, David Luiz, fucking hell, bro. Who was their goalkeeper for Benfica? Oh, it was, they had Oblak at one point. They had Ederson at one point. But the old goalkeeper in like the early 2000s, who was Benfica's goalkeeper? I'm not gonna look. I'm trying to think. Benfica's goalkeeper. Who was it, Chet? I can't remember him. I can't remember Benfica's goalkeeper at that time. Was it Ricardo? I know he was the Portugal backup. I can't remember, though. Maybe. This will be a close game due to Inter's ability to stay in ties, but I think Benfica got this. Yeah, I agree. The score will be close. I think the performance will be drastic. I think Benfica will outplay them by a lot. It's funny, before the draw, when I was hearing Chelsea fans, they want Benfica. Benfica would beat Chelsea. I agree with you, Dennis. I agree. JGR says, as much as I want a Milan derby in a Champions League semifinal, which would be absolutely insane to even witness, football needs a Benfica versus Napoli semifinal. Napoli-Benfica is one for the hipsters, man. That game will be primetime entertainment. That game will be absolutely beautiful football. Two teams that play absolutely stunning stuff. Two teams that want to attack. Two teams that want to score goals. Two teams that play direct. I will be there no matter what, bro. That tie will be fantastic. Thoughts on Barella? I love him. That's the kind of midfielder that I think Liverpool should be going after, rather than their obsession with some of the names, i.e. Bellingham. I think Barella would do wonders for that team. Does he have a higher ceiling than Bellingham? No. Is he as big a talent as Bellingham? No. But Barella is tailor-made for the Premier League. He's a weird Italian, because I usually think Italians struggle to come to the Premier League, as evidenced by the lack of recent successes that they've imported. But I think Barella has the physical tools, the engine to really thrive in the Premier League. I'm a big fan of him. Grimaldo, that's another big name. Inter have so much debt. That's why they had to sell Hakimi, Lukaku. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, this guy said Ben Foster. Yeah, big up you, 36, the Blue Note. This guy we had the Benfica goalkeeper in our chat. Big up you, bro. How you doing, Mick Plays? Welcome to the stream. Kvara to Chelsea. That'd be a big pickup. Big pickup. Big up Mick Plays, bro. You don't have to ask me 5 times, by the way. Yo, mods, where y'all at? What about this spamming shit? Nah, big up you, Mick Plays. How massive is it that we might see an Italian team in the final? Boys, I think this is boys and girls, excuse me. I think this is absolutely massive. I'm happy. I'm happy that we will almost definitely see an Italian team in the Champions League final. Unless Benfica do something crazy. Because, these Premier League fans, man, that just believe that football is played in one little island in Europe, in the entire world, the Premier League. How can the Premier League in its golden era, where they have all the money, only send one team? Yeah, please sub this guy out. Put user in timeout. Mick Plays. How can the Premier League in its golden era have 2 teams potentially in the Champions League quarterfinals and potentially only 1 in the semifinal? This is supposed to be your era, bro. You're supposed to have the 5 best teams on the planet. Shambolic. Lias, your thoughts on the state of Italian football right now? Is 3 teams just a fluke? I don't think it's a fluke. Look, do I think the Serie A is the best league in the world? No, I don't in terms of quality. But I've been on the record. I think Serie A is one of the most entertaining leagues in terms of competition. Napoli obviously is the supreme team out of that league. They're the best by a mile. But outside of that, you can look at 5, 6, potentially even 7 teams that are on pretty level playing field. Milan, Inter, Juve, Roma, Lazio. I think those are the 5. Did I say Juventus? 6. Juve. Those are 6 teams that when they play each other, the games are very evenly fought out. They're very entertaining to watch. Does that mean that I think the 3, 4 best teams play in Italy? Absolutely not. But I like Serie A. I think it's a very underappreciated league. Compared to La Liga, it's much more competitive. Compared to the Bundesliga, fair enough, Bundesliga this year is pretty competitive in its own right. Compared to Liga, much more competitive. Serie A, if you got time, go check it out, guys. Go check it out. I think obviously Napoli are about to wrap that up, so there's not too much to look out for in terms of title challenge, but 6 teams that really will give each other good fights every single time they play each other. Messi to Serie A, how would he do? He'd flop. He wouldn't do anything, bro. He can't handle Di Lorenzo. He can't handle Simon Kjær, unfortunately. Messi would flop in Serie A. Come on, man. Lias, do you think Stones is key for City defense? Because I do, absolutely. I think Stones is Manchester City's best defender. He's their best defensive player. Just3 says, Lias, I don't know how, but I have a feeling we might see a Milan derby in the semis. I can see Inter shithousing their way around Benfica. And for Milan, that Champions League heritage at the San Siro, who knows, man? Maybe, bro. We're going to talk about Milan, Napoli in a second. Actually, let's do it right now. The last tie of the Champions League quarterfinals, guys, is Napoli versus AC Milan. I'm interested in this one. I'm very, very interested in this. Inter Benfica, again, I think it's going to be one side, in my opinion. I think Benfica will win that pretty easily. But AC Milan versus Napoli. I think people are writing off AC Milan a bit too quickly, in my opinion. Let me bring you guys back to 2009-10. Bordeaux had just won Liga. In fact, they'd come off finishing second in Liga and winning Liga. And I hope you guys watched Gourcuff, by the way, when I finished the stream last week. I posted some clips for you guys. I posted some hype about him. I hope you guys did your research and watched Johan Gourcuff. I'm giving you guys homework at the end of each of these streams. I hope you guys watched Johan Gourcuff after last stream. But he was the best player on those Bordeaux teams. They won the league. They came second. And they played a Lyon team in the Champions League quarterfinals who actually had beat Real Madrid in the first year of the Cristiano Ronaldo era. They'd beat them in the round of 16. Miralem Pjanic, I remember. Jean-Neil Makoun. That team was fun. But they had just lost Benzema. They had just lost Juninho. It was basically a Lyon team in transition. Their 2 guys were Pjanic and Lisandro Lopez. And everyone thought Bordeaux are going to beat them. Bordeaux have been better in the league the last 2 seasons, and Bordeaux will beat Lyon in the Champions League. They're a better team. And I look at it a bit like Napoli versus Milan, because unlike what everyone thought, Lyon were the team that ended up beating Bordeaux. They beat them quite comprehensively as well. And by the way, Lisandro Lopez, that's a player that I want you guys to look up. That's who I want you guys to do your homework on next, because everyone talks about Rashford doing this celebration. Everyone talks about Neves doing this celebration. The first player, guys, that I ever saw doing this was Lisandro Lopez. I'm going to post some comps, some highlights for you guys tonight. I'll make sure I educate you guys on Lisandro Lopez. Gunman. Absolute gunman. But anyways, I bring up that to say that although Napoli are the better team for me, on paper they're the better team, on the pitch they're the better team, the league table says they're the better team, Spalletti is probably the better manager than Pioli, I wouldn't rule out AC Milan yet. Although I believe that Napoli will get through, do not rule AC Milan out. Because when we talk about football heritage in the Champions League, guys, Milan is the second biggest team in Champions League history. 7 Champions Leagues. Count them. They deserve their respects. They absolutely deserve their respect. And it's a weird one for me with Milan, right? Because everyone talks about Leao. Everyone talks about Theo Hernandez. The 2 best players on Milan. I think you can make the argument, guys, that Mike Maignan is the best player on AC Milan. Or at least the most important. Because you look at that January period after the World Cup where he was out and Tatarusanu was playing instead. That's his name, right? Tatarusanu. Or am I thinking of the old Milan? No, Tatarusanu. I'm pretty sure that's his name. You look at Milan during that period when Maignan was out and Tatarusanu was in goal. They couldn't keep a clean sheet to save their life. I think they won 1 game in 7. They managed to beat Spurs because Spurs are the biggest joke on the planet. But guys, look at the record. Look at the results since Mike Maignan came back into goal for AC Milan. They look a lot better. They look a lot more defensively stable. I think you can make the argument that Mike Maignan is the best goalkeeper in Europe. Full stop. I think you can make that argument. If I were Man United, Qatari, taking over the club tomorrow, I'm throwing a blank check at Milan. Bring Mike Maignan to AC Milan, or to Manchester United, excuse me. They've looked a lot better. Leao, I still have my question marks because although I do believe he's an absolutely terrific player, I think he's one of the best attacking talents on the planet, especially for his age group. I have an issue of Leao's demeanor. I think he's too nonchalant. I think he loses aggression and emotion too easily. He loses interest and stops trying way too easily. Like when he becomes disinterested in the game, he's the worst player to have on your team. The intensity is missing for Leao over 90 minutes. But if Leao is on it, I think you're looking at a player that can hurt any team on the planet. And I'm very interested in seeing that matchup. Leao versus Kivica Kvaratskhelia. Try saying that 5 times fast, by the way. Kivica Kvaratskhelia. I love that name. That's the matchup that I'm interested in watching, guys, because that age group, those are the 2 supreme wing talents on the planet, in my opinion. Bar Vinny, but Vinny doesn't count, bro. Vinny is above these youngsters. He shouldn't be considered a youngster anymore. Leao versus Kivica. Probably 2 players on the wish list of every single top team in Europe. Manchester City, I'm sure, will have scouts at this game because they need wing talent badly, and these 2 are it when it comes to this age group. Who do I side with? I side with Kivica. I prefer Kivica Kvaratskhelia. I look at Kvaratskhelia, and I heard the comparison today. He's the reincarnation of Figo. I don't know about that one. Because Figo, for me, was more so of a silky dribbler in terms of he almost played in slow motion, in my opinion. Although, like, he was terrifically 2-footed, great dribbler of the ball. But Kivica, for me, I'll tell you who he reminds me of. He reminds me of a coked up Jack Grealish. If Jack Grealish had intensity and power to his game, he would remind me of Kivica Kvaratskhelia. That's who Kivica reminds me of. Let me know who you guys think, but that's the kind of player that Kivica reminds me of. Okay, you know what? Fair enough. Saka is better than Leao. Okay, I think even Saka has usurped the youngster tag, in my opinion, Rob. I don't think you can compare him to these youngsters either. So fair enough. This guy said, I hear the comparison of George Best. I think it's more so the hair, to be honest with you. I think it's tough to make that comparison, George Best and Kivica. But yeah, I see Jack Grealish with intensity, with directness. That's what I see when I see Kivica. And they have formed the best 1-2 punch in Europe, guys. Kivica Kvaratskhelia and Victor Osimhen is the best 1-2 punch in Europe. Whether you want to call them Batman and Robin, Robin and Batman, last season's Benzema and Vinny. These 2 are a problem. These 2 are a massive, massive problem. No team in Europe wants to face these guys. Osimhen, I talk about Kivica being on the wish list of every big European team around. Osimhen is also on that wish list. That's a player that I need Manchester United to go break the bank for. I look at that first goal that he scores against Frankfurt, Chad. The header. And heading for me is a lost art in football. It's a way of scoring goals that has slowly but surely disappeared from the game. You look at the best strikers in the world these days, and very few of them can head the ball at an elite level. Benzema still can. But Erling Haaland, for as big as he is not a great header of the ball. In fact, he'll even tell you that himself. He was on CBS the other day telling Thierry Henry, one of the facets of my game I need to improve on is heading the ball. Rashford is getting better at it, but before that had never been a huge strength of his game. Jesus is not a great header of the ball, in my opinion. Who else are the best strikers in Europe at this point? Gonzalo Ramos, I haven't seen him elite in the area. I think heading the ball, like, okay, Ronaldo. Ronaldo, of course, is the greatest header of the ball I've seen in my life. But it's a lost art for me in terms of the new age center forward. Osimhen has mastered it. That leap that he scored against Frankfurt, guys, is outstanding. It's outstanding. The airtime that he gets, and then while also in midair, basically levitating, to have the neck of a salmon to leap and win that header and put it that far into the corner the way he did. I'm kind of waffling here in terms of how I described it, but I can't describe it any better than that. It's an outstanding header. You guys are naming me guys. I'm saying it's a dying art. Giroud is a dying footballer. Okay, that sounded rude. But Giroud is old news. Lewandowski is old news. I'm talking about the up-and-coming center forwards. Are they as good at heading the ball? I don't think so. Giroud, Kane, Lewandowski, these are all part of the older generation of strikers. I'm talking about the modern-day striker, the ones that are just coming up. I don't see them as elite headers of the ball the way they used to be. Like, I think of Ruud van Nistelrooy. I think of Drogba. I think of Fernando Torres. those are Wayne Rooney, especially when he kind of got into his groove of heading the ball. Jota's a good shout. Jota's a very good shout. Ivan Toney is a good shout. But I even look at a guy like Scamacca. For how big he is, even David Moyes is saying, yo, he is not good enough at heading the ball. He isn't for a guy that size. They'd rather have the ball at the feet. And I think it's normal, guys. Modern day football is played primarily with the ball at your feet, ball on the ground. Teams don't want to be lumping the ball up forward. Teams don't want to be swinging crosses in the box. It's a game that in the modern day century is played with the ball at your feet. That's why I don't think strikers are as good heading the ball as they were before. But Osimhen does not have that problem. Osimhen is absolutely outstanding. And chat, can you guys name me a better 1-2 punch, a better duo than Kavica and Victor Osimhen? I can't think of a duo better than those two right now. They're absolutely sensational. I didn't mean to put Giroud in intensive care. That's my fault. No disrespect to Giroud, but let's be real. He is on his last knees. I have Napoli winning this tie. I'll quit waffling. I think Napoli are the better team than AC Milan. Although I wouldn't rule out Milan, I think Napoli will get business done. I think Napoli are going to the Champions League final. It's probably not even a hot take at this point. They're not underdogs anymore. They are the best team on this side of the bracket. Milan, Napoli, Inter, and Benfica. Napoli are the best team. I think they'll go to the final. Kane and Son used to be. Yep. Messi and Mbappe. Not in the Champions League. I haven't seen enough in the Champions League, bro. Ligue 1, fair enough. But in the Champions League, Osimhen and Kavica are doing it. Messi and Mbappe against Bayern over 180 minutes did not show me enough. Now, of course, in terms of quality, of course, they're better footballers, each of them, than Kavica and Osimhen. But right now, this season, that's the best duo on the planet. Go name me a better one. Kim Min-jae, top center back, bro. Top. Let me amend my 3 center backs best in the world. I want to amend it to 4. In no order. Militao, Araujo, Lisandro, Kim Min-jae. I think those are my 4. You can even throw Gabriel Malagues in there as well. Those might be my 5. Those 5 are top. Napoli to win the UCL, I would love it, and I think I deserve it. I've been on the record a million times. I'm not hiding this anymore. Going to the Champions League this year, I'm a Napoli fan. And I think that all of you guys, if there's any United fans in here, if there's any Arsenal fans in here, if there's any Spurs fans, Liverpool fans, Barcelona fans, if your team is not in the Champions League anymore, guys, you should be supporting Napoli in the Champions League. Because these guys play the way football should be played. There's no correct way of playing football. There's no right way of playing football. Winning football games is all that matters. But guys, if there was a correct way of playing football, Napoli play correct football. They play football that every neutral should absolutely love watching. I'll say those words again, the buzzwords that I love saying. Direct, fast, energetic, easy on the eye, entertaining, exhilarating. Napoli are just a joy to watch, man. If you haven't watched them enough in Serie A this season, take some time out of your weekend when your team's not playing and go watch Napoli, man. Go watch Osimhen score goals. Go watch Kavica destroy fullbacks. Go watch Kim Min-jae lock up the opposition defender. Let me name 3 guys I haven't even brought up that I think deserve massive credit. The 3 midfielders, Lobotka, Anguissa, Zielinski. That's one of the best midfield trios in Europe this season. And it's not even that bad because then you have Ndombele coming off the bench as well. Don't forget about him too. He can be a spark plug off the bench. You look up front, Giovanni Simeone. You look at Lozano. They have so many weapons that they can hit you with, bro. So many weapons. I'm a massive fan of Napoli, man. I can wax lyrical about these guys all day. Look, I don't know about the fans, right? But I'm talking about purely the football club, bro. If you choose to support teams based on their fan base or based on their history or based on that, look, you're always going to have shady things. I'm talking about purely the 11 players that play a football game. I'm talking about Luciano Spalletti. I'm talking about the team itself. They're a joy to watch, bro. They're a joy to watch. Yes, I wouldn't be surprised, Wuzidi. Do I be saying that a lot? That's funny. Napoli, the hipsters pick. Absolutely. Would you rather United sign Lobotka or Tonali? I like Tonali, even though I don't think Tonali will ever leave Milan. So with that being said, Lobotka probably. Tonali will retire at Milan, bro. He'll retire there. Imagine Martinez and Kim Min-jae at center back. That's cracked. That's juiced up right there. Brazy center back partnership. Lias, in which side of the bracket does the winner come out of? I don't think the winner will come out of the easier bracket. I agree. So, Jez, if you missed that part of the show, Cam asked me, who do I think is going to win the Champions League this year? I believe it's Manchester City. So I do believe that it'll come out of the tougher side of the bracket. But who do I hope wins the Champions League? First of all, anyone but Man City. But I would like to see Napoli win it. Wouldn't be surprised if United go for Gonzalo Ramos. Me as well. Where do you think Kavicha goes apart from City? I think Kavicha will stay at Napoli this year because I think Osimhen will be the one to leave. First of all, getting either of them away from Napoli with my man De Laurentiis is going to be impossible because you're going to have to part ways with so much money. But if either of them is going to leave, it's going to be Osimhen first because they've had Osimhen for longer. They paid a lot of money for him anyways, and I think they'll feel that he kind of lived up to his side of the bargain already. Like he's done everything for Napoli he can already. I think they're going to want to get a few more years out of Kvaratskhelia. And also, if you ask me, I think Kvaratskhelia has another level to go. Osimhen also has another level to go, but I think Kavicha's level, bro, you're talking about one of the best players, like top 5 player on the planet. Osimhen, I don't know if he'll ever be a top 5 player on the planet. So I think Kavicha, what we're seeing right now, he has a few more levels to go, in my opinion. Anguissa can't fool me. Who's in a relegation battle with Fulham, bro. But this is what I'm saying, bro. Like, I'm not trying to call you a casual here because I don't think you are, and I don't know you well enough to say that. But if your opinion on a player is what they did at Fulham 3 seasons ago, bro, come on, man. Give the guy a chance. He's been absolutely outstanding for Napoli this season. It's not fair to say he's not a good player because of him struggling in a relegation battle a few seasons ago. He's an absolutely terrific player. He showed out in the World Cup too for Cameroon, by the way. Let's not put these players in the box for what they did over 1 season for a struggling Fulham team under Scott Parker, bro. Anguissa can play. Anguissa can definitely play. Kavicha is what football has been missing since Messi, a pure dribbler. I love Kavicha, man. I don't know about since Messi. I think we've had a few good players. Like Musiala is also a pure dribbler, but he is football personified, that kid. Kavicha is the more untouchable because Osimhen desires the Prem. But Kavicha desires Real Madrid, and Real Madrid have Vinicius Jr. Can Kavicha replicate what he's doing on the right-hand side? This is, for me, why it was always interesting about Mbappe going to Real Madrid, because unless he played center forward, which for me, Mbappe is not great at striker. Okay, he's great, but he's not as good as he is on the left. You'd have Mbappe and Vinny really fighting for that left-hand side of the pitch, and I think you'll have that same issue with Kavicha. Kavicha at Barca would be a problem. Kavicha, Lewandowski, Dembele, charge it to the game, bro. Charge it to the game. That 3 is disgusting. I hope this Napoli team stays together another year too. I do. Lias, who's the most press-resistant player in the Premier League? I'd say Bernardo. Bernardo or Thiago? Thiago is quite press-resistant in my opinion too. I would say one of those two. But Bernardo is also, yeah, it might be Bernardo, but one of him or Thiago. Lias, you're taking De Jong or Barella for United in the summer. De Jong is not coming, bro. You see the quotes from De Jong today, Classic Zoo. I think he said, like, I wanted to retire at Barca. It's my dream to play at the new stadium. We're not getting him, bro. Barella would be good for us. I'd like Barella at United. Let's get the show to 200 likes, people. Yep, defo. Like, share, and subscribe. Always be there no matter what. Absolutely. Let me go through a few more of these. Yes, it's so annoying, bro. So many good left wingers available, but no right wingers. Yeah. You guys need a right winger because I think even Rodrigo better off the left, better centrally than he is out on the right, even though he can play very well out there. Bernardo's my favorite player in the world. Top player. Top player. When's the hot takes? Hot takes are now. Guys, that was my Champions League preview. If you guys missed it, I believe that Benfica will beat Inter. I believe Manchester City will beat Bayern Munich. I believe Real Madrid will beat Chelsea. And I believe Napoli will beat AC Milan. When the semifinals are decided, I'll be sure to be on a stream again. I'll try and get Rabona TV for you guys because that's the talking head that you want to speak to when it comes to European football. The guy is an OG. The guy is it for that kind of content. But that's my predictions. Let me know what you guys think about it. Comment section below. On to the next part of the show. Last few weeks, we've been doing start, sub, sell. You guys have been loving that. But I've had a few suggestions saying, yo, let's do hot takes. Tell me your hot takes, and me with the rest of the chat, we'll rip into it. We'll say whether we agree with it. Maybe we think it's a great take. Maybe we think it's an awful take. But let me know your hot takes in the comment section below. I'll go through a few of them. We'll go till, what time is it right now? 9:24. We'll go till 9:45, chat. That's fair, right? 20 minutes? 20 minutes. And they have to be good ones too. I no hot take like I think Real Madrid will win the Champions League or like I think this team will win the Champions League. Let's get in depth about this kind of stuff. Let's get interesting. Let's get uncomfortable. I want those kinds. Choupo-Moting is a top 3 striker still in the Champions League. That's cap, bro. Come on. We got Haaland, Osimhen, and Benzema. You're talking about Choupo-Moting. Right off the bat. No. Verratti has been mid since 2 years. I disagree. I think last season he was very good. You guys remember that game that he had at the Parc des Princes against Manchester City? The first game of the Champions League. Messi's first game in the Champions League for PSG. Verratti was the best player on the pitch. He was unbelievable. Verratti, guys, I hate the discourse around him, to be honest with you. I absolutely despise the discourse around Verratti. Because for years, people didn't want to give this guy his flowers. For years, people would not include him in best midfielder in the world talks because of the team that he played for, because of their failings in the Champions League, even though consistently he was their best player in some of those games. And now, granted, he's on the decline. He hasn't had a great season this year. One mishap in the Champions League, one poor touch of the ball in front of his own box that led to a goal in the game that was already basically escaping PSG. And now all of a sudden, Verratti has always been overrated. Verratti has never been that guy in the Champions League. Verratti has never been one of the best midfielders in the world. And now Verratti hasn't been good for 2 years. I despise that kind of narrative, bro. It's just, for me, it's lazy. Verratti is so gifted. And I think like his biggest mistake in his career was not going to Barcelona or not pushing for that move hard enough. Because some people will argue that PSG put him, they got the mafia on his ass, basically. Like he wasn't allowed to leave PSG. I think you look talent-wise, guy, he's one of the best, most talented midfielders that Europe has produced in the last 10 years. I put him at that level with the Thiagos, with the Paul Pogbas, with the Iscos. He's that good, guys. But I think it's PSG's failure, really, since Thiago Motta and Matuidi both left PSG. PSG have failed to really build an adequate midfield around him. Look at the midfield partners that he's had. Idrissa Gueye. Guy is struggling at Everton in a relegation dogfight a year after leaving PSG. Danilo Pereira, who, guys, I don't care. People tell me, oh, I watch PSG all the time. He's been one of our better players. Danilo Pereira is not PSG level, guys. Danilo Pereira is not Champions League winning caliber. He's a mid player. He's a very average player, in my opinion. I think who else have they had? Ander Herrera, basically coming off his best years at United. He was basically finished by the time he went to PSG. Gini Wijnaldum, Liverpool couldn't wait to get rid of him, even though, to be honest, last year they could have used him. But he was washed up at PSG. They haven't successfully put a midfield around him to really see the best of Verratti. No, to really, reward Verratti's great performances with wins, with Champions League performances. Verratti in PSG's worst games has always been their best player. So I don't like that narrative, to be honest with you. You're all allowed your opinion, but I think Verratti being asked or being overrated or he was always over. I think for me, that's just 2020 hindsight, in my opinion. Hindsight is 2020. I don't agree with that. What else do we got? Hot take, Gavi will never be a top 3 midfielder of his generation. Probably not, because I think his generation is what? Pedri is his generation. Bellingham is his generation. Musiala is his generation. Camavinga is his generation. Enzo is probably his generation, maybe a little older. I think those 5 right there are better than Gavi. Now, ever be in that conversation for top 3? I don't know. That you're basically saying you don't think Gavi's ceiling is as high as those other guys. And I think ceiling is very hard to predict. Development is not linear, so who knows? But personally, I prefer those other players to Gavi. Mane was better than Salah 2018 to 2020. So 2017-18, Salah was the better player. 2018-19, I think they were pretty level, to be honest with you. Even though I think Mane in the Champions League was much better than Salah. Salah in the league was a problem. And then Mane 2019-20, when Liverpool won the league, was Liverpool's best player for me. So I think on average, you could make that argument. I don't think I would disagree if someone told me Salah. But at the very least, guys, I think Mane was as good as Salah in that 2-year period. I think so. Toni Kroos sits in the same table of Zidane, Xavi, Iniesta, and Pirlo. Accolades wise, yes, right? Because he's won the World Cup. He's won 4 Champions League, or he's won 5 Champions Leagues. 1 of Bayern and 4 of Real Madrid. In fact, he was a penalty shootout away from winning 6 because he almost beat Chelsea in 2012. So accolades wise, yes, he does sit at that table. And this is my hot take. I don't think player quality wise, Toni Kroos chats to those 5 guys, bro. Personally, I think Toni Kroos is exceptional. I think he's an absolutely brilliant midfielder. But I don't think he changes games to the level of those 5. I think Pirlo, every team he's ever been at, he's been the most important player on that team. Like in terms of like impact. Obviously, Kaká was a better player, but Pirlo was the glue to that team. Zidane, the talent speaks for itself, guys. I don't entertain Zidane slander, in my opinion. I think it's lazy. Iniesta and Xavi, I don't think you can argue Kroos is better than either of them. And he's never been better than Modric a day in his life, in my opinion. Maybe actually these days he might be better when Modric is 37. So although I think Kroos is exceptional, and I think he's a tier 2 midfielder, but if you're to rank these players on tiers, I think he probably sits at that second tier. I don't think he's better than any of those 5, and I don't think it's particularly close. I think all of those 5, for me, I'm quite comfortable in saying are better midfielders than him. Now, I know some people like bring consistency and longevity and trophies into effect, but I think when you look at them just through the scope of what makes a footballer, who do I want? Who am I picking to win me a midfield battle? I'm picking those 5 over Kroos every day of the week. Every day. Let me know, though. You guys might disagree. KDB is in the top 5 best midfielders in Prem history. I think so. I think no, I think so. In terms of quality, definitely. Right? He's a 2-time. Yeah, in terms of quality, absolutely. It really depends who your 5 are, though. Because, Nak, do you think David Silva is a top 5? Do you think Paul Scholes is a top 5? It really depends. But he's in the conversation, for sure. For sure. Hot take. Thomas Muller is greatest German player of our generation. Greatest? No, I don't think so. Is he greater than Ozil or Kroos? No, I don't think so. I think I would put those 2 above him. I think I would. Muller is top 3, though. Even Neuer. I think you could make the argument that Neuer, for me, defined a position, was probably had the highest peak out of all, maybe not Kroos. I wouldn't say Muller is the greatest German player of his generation. No, I would say top 5 for sure. Musiala is the biggest talent since Messi and Neymar. I disagree. I think it's Mbappe. Benzema can chat to Henry as GOAT France striker. He can chat to him. Now, which one you prefer? That's a totally different conversation. I would say you can chat to him, though. Yeah, I don't think it's ridiculous to say Benzema over Henry. Now, who do you prefer? I would probably edge it Henry, but I don't think it's ridiculous. No. Ribery 2013 was better than Messi and should have won Ballon d'Or. Messi didn't win Ballon d'Or that year, though, did he? Ronaldo won it. So I don't... Even if he was better than Messi, was he better than Ronaldo? Probably not. I think Ronaldo scored 60-something goals that season. But the Ballon d'Or is always a weird one, right? Because accolades-wise, Ribery had the best year individually. He won the treble. But was he a better player than Messi or Ronaldo? Like, that's why, for me, people will always say, oh, Schneider should have won the Ballon d'Or in 2010. Was Schneider better than Leo Messi in 2010? Personally, I don't even think he was better than Milito that year. But was he better than Messi? Individually, not team. His team won the trophies. He got rewarded for being on the best team and for being a big part of the best team. Yes. But was he better individually than Messi? No. Was Ribery better than Ronaldo that season individually? No. So Ballon d'Or is a weird one. It's really weird for me because do you prioritize the trophies that the player won or the individual season that the player had? I think for an individual award like the Ballon d'Or, individual goals, assists, impacts on games individually should matter more than how many trophies your team won. That's my opinion. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I think from 2008 to to 2017, the Ballon d'Or was voted for fairly in terms of it should have been Messi or Ronaldo every one of those years. 2018 even, it shouldn't have been Modric in my opinion. But I think at that point it was just voter fatigue. Hot take, Dele Alli was a better prospect than current Jude. No, I disagree. I think Bellingham is a bigger prospect. I think so. Ali for me was great, but I always had doubts about Ali because his best play came off the ball. Like he was a very intelligent player, and technically he was good, but on the ball, he didn't impact games for me the way Bellingham can impact games, especially offensively. So I would disagree. And I think Bellingham's physical capabilities makes him a bigger prospect than Dele Alli. Like his physical capabilities means Bellingham's ceiling is that much higher than it already was. The guy's a freak athlete. Yeah, you see like this, I don't agree. Verratti is trash, always so overrated. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Hot take, Drogba has a bigger household name than Rooney outside England. I don't know, to be honest, Siri, because I think in Africa, yes, Drogba is the king of Africa, or one of the kings of Africa. But I think in South America, bro, Brazilians used to say that Wayne Rooney was like the one player in the England team that could play for Brazil. Wayne Rooney was the face of FIFA for a few years ago, like in terms of like EA Sports. Wayne Rooney was, I don't know. I think Wayne Rooney is a bigger name. Like the way he took over Euro 2004 as a kid, as a teenager, that for me catapulted him to superstardom. I think, and in fact, Rio and Ever were talking on a Vibe of Five. They were saying that, bro, Rooney, when they used to go to Asia and America for the preseason tours, Rooney would sometimes get more love than Cristiano Ronaldo in terms of like from the foreign fans. So I think Rooney is the bigger name internationally. I think in Africa, of course, Drogba has that grip on Africa. But I think Rooney globally is the bigger name. Benzema has been extremely underwhelming as having a bad season objectively. Bad? I don't think so. Underwhelming? I agree. Technical abilities off the charts. Maguire is the most overhated, abused player of the modern era. I agree. Even though I don't rate Maguire that highly, I think he's definitely like, it got disgusting for me. When I saw this guy getting booed on preseason Australia, that's when I knew it went too far. Hot take, Kimmich is a top 5 player in world football. I don't agree. Top 5 midfielder in world football, maybe, but player, no. No, I don't agree. Aguero is a top 5 all-time striker of all time. No way, AMH. I know this is biased from you, bro. There's not a chance Aguero is top 5. Top 5, R9, Suarez, Van Basten, Romario. Who else am I missing in terms of pure strikers? Number 9s. I mean, forget about those. Those are the best ones. Is Aguero better all-time than Zlatan? Not for me. Is Aguero better all-time than Lewandowski? Not for me. Is Aguero better all-time than Benzema? Not for me. Nah, I'm not having that. I don't think so. Hot take. Rooney's best was before 2010. He never lived up to what he could have been. Let's break this down. I agree he didn't live up to what he could have been. When was his best, though? Rooney's best period, individually, was 08-09 for me. Oh, hold up. It's tough, right? Because 06-07, Rooney was bad, right? 06-07, 05-06, Rooney was a bad man, bro. He was a bad man. People forget, right? Here's a stat for you guys. Cristiano Ronaldo only ever scored more non-penalty goals than Wayne Rooney when the two were at United one season, and that's 07-08. Every year, bar penalties, Rooney was going bar for bar, word for word, bar for bar with Cristiano Ronaldo in terms of goals. He was impacting games a lot. I'm not saying as much as Ronaldo, but Rooney was exceptional those early years. Even Ronaldo was there. In fact, the only reason he probably didn't score more goals, and I definitely know that, is because Ronaldo was the focal point at United. And rightfully so. He's the best player in the world at that point. But let's not sleep on what Rooney was at United at that point, bro. The guy was a killer. The guy was unbelievable. All-around player. And when Ronaldo left, that's really when you saw the best of Wayne Rooney from a goal-scoring point of view. 09-10 is a classic carry job, in my opinion. United finishing level on or 1 point behind one of the best Chelsea teams I've ever seen was purely down to Wayne Rooney's goals. And you know that because the minute he went down injured with that injury against Bayern in the Champions League and he basically missed the rest of the season, United were never the same. They were never the same. 11-12, same thing, carry job. All the way to the last day of the season, he's carrying them through with his goals. They lose on goal difference to Aguero. Rooney was exceptional. So when was his best year? It's tough. Rooney's peak is almost like a length of time. But I definitely agree that I think you could make the argument, bro. He should have been at the level of Ronaldo and Messi. I think you can definitely make that argument. Because as a teenager, he was as good as both of them, arguably. He was a better teenager than Ronaldo was. But I think the way his body was built to begin with, I always say Rooney at 17 was built like he was 24. When he was 24, he was built like he was 29. When he was 29, he was built like he was 35. Like his growth development was off the charts. And B, I also don't think he took care of himself the way Ronaldo and Messi did, right? You look at Ronaldo, who's a year older than Rooney, the shape that he's in, the physical capacity that he's in compared to what Wayne Rooney is at basically the same age, it's a joke. It's night and day. But let's not disrespect Rooney, bro. That's one of the best footballers I've ever seen in my life. Wayne Rooney. So good. I agree with this. The best partner Verratti ever had was Marquinhos. Actually, no, I don't agree with it. Thiago Motta and Matuidi was really good. Early Laurent Blanc days. But Marquinhos, those two, they had a good partnership, bro. I agree with you. Hot take, the Netherlands have the best defenders in the world, especially in the coming years. De Ligt, Ake, Van Dijk. Yeah, Van Dijk, Botman, Timber, Frimpong, Malacia, Dumfries, etc. I like Brazil, to be honest with you, with Militao, Gabriel, Marquinhos, and Thiago Silva. That's a good center back core right there. Bremer as well, who I know Arsenal fans don't like because he took Gabriel's place, but I think Bremer's pretty good as well. So that's a shout, though. France as well, though, right? What? Saliba, Fofana, Diogo Meccano, and Konate. That's 4 center backs right there that are exceptional, bro. They're exceptional. Portugal, I like Antonio Silva a lot from Benfica. Ruben Diaz is good. Netherlands is a good shout, though. They have a good shout. Hot take, Chelsea 0405, Liverpool 1920, City 100 points, United treble, all better than Arsenal's Invincibles. Do you mean the achievement or do you mean the team itself? Because I don't believe the achievement is better than that achievement. But as a team, in a one-off game, I would probably favor all of those teams. I didn't watch the United treble week in, week out, so I can't say them. But the other ones, I would favor to beat the Arsenal Invincibles. I think so. Verratti hasn't done enough, unfortunately. I mean, yeah, but I think he's hurt a bit by the team that he plays for. And I think now, of course, I agree he's on the decline. But, bro, Verratti, for me, was literally playing in midfield on his own at times for PSG. People don't really realize that. The guy was bro, you have him playing with Danilo Pereira. You watch 30 minutes into the game, Danilo Pereira is playing right center back. Verratti himself in midfield. What can he do? Let me scroll down a little bit more just because I realized I was super far back. Okay, damn, you guys sent in hella comments. Okay, I'm up to date with more of the recent ones now. Edison Cavani's top 4 strikers of his generation. Who's his generation? No, Zlatan, Benzema, Lewandowski, Aguero, Kane. No, I wouldn't say top 4. I wouldn't say top 4. Di Maria, most underrated player of the last generation. I agree. I agree. I always say that. Culture Camps, what's he saying? Rooney's prime was 04 to 12, best moments 06 to 10. I think that's pretty much what I said, no? I think I agree with that. Yeah. I would agree. Cam, you got any hot takes in here, bro? Let me know. Let me know. One that I haven't heard before. James Arthur, I have one question for you, Elias. Where do you see Valverde's future? I don't know if he's good enough to play on the wing or in the midfield primarily. That's also my worry with Valverde, to be honest with you, bro, because I don't think he's a central midfielder that can play week in, week out for Real Madrid. I think you need a little more class on the ball and calmness and composure than Valverde has. On the flip side, he's not your traditional winger. Like, he's not Vinicius, for example. I think he's the perfect, the role that Ancelotti kind of has him playing right now, basically just occupying the right-hand side of the pitch and roaming and doing his thing and providing energy and providing defensive stability and backup for Carvajal. I think it's perfect for Valverde. But long-term, I think Real Madrid needs better in the midfield, and I think they need better out wide. Valverde, for me, is the perfect utility player. He's brilliant at his role, but I agree with you, bro. I don't think he's an elite central midfielder. I don't think he's an elite right winger. I think he's just extremely good at his role. He fills out a role very, very well. Hot take, MSN is not the greatest trio in football history. Who is? Who is? The only one I think I can put on that same level playing field with them is the Milan one of Ruud Gullit, Rijkaard, and Van Basten. Outside of those three, and again, I'm only speaking off what I've heard and the brief highlights I've seen. Outside of that, I think it's MSN, bro. Those three are nasty as hell. Hot take, Robin is one of the greatest wingers of all time. I don't think you understood the assignment, bro. That's not hot whatsoever. That's a standard take. History won't fare nicely for Kylian. One day I'll dive into it. I disagree, Kim. Because think about it, history is told by numbers, it's told by stories. The guy has a World Cup hat trick. The guy has broken Pele's record for most World Cup goals at a certain age. The guy has scored incredible amounts of goals at Champions Leagues. You're going to look back at iconic pictures of him celebrating in front of Old Trafford, in front of him celebrating at the Bernabeu, in front of him celebrating at Anfield. The only way Kylian Mbappe is not looked upon kindly in 15, 20 years is if he stays at PSG, which I don't anticipate him doing so. If he does that, okay, I think you have an argument. But bro, I don't think you can basically write off how big winning a World Cup at 18 and then scoring a World Cup hat trick 4 years later in the final is. I don't think that will ever be looked upon poorly. So I don't know about that one. I don't agree with that one. But if he stays at PSG, then you might have a case. You may. CR7 is abysmal internationally. No World Cup knockout goals in Euro 2016. He was overrated. I don't know about abysmal. I think his World Cup record is abysmal. But bro, he has the most goals in international football history. Euro 2012, Ronaldo was a problem. Euro 2004, Ronaldo was a problem. World Cup 2006, Ronaldo was very good. I don't know about abysmal. Is it underwhelming for how great a player he was at club level? Yes. Abysmal? You lost me there. Culture Cams expands on his take about Mbappe. Ability, Ballon d'Orism. I guess that's what you meant. Peak, who people are going to compare him with. Will he match up? By the way, Mando Kylian is my boy from day one. Yeah, Cam is a big Mbappe fan, which is actually why I'm a bit surprised that he says that, but fair enough. Maybe that's an FTBL culture for another day. We'll see. I said 247. I'll go at 250. I'll give you guys what you want. Hot take, Osimhen is better than Haaland. No, I think Haaland is better. Hot take, where was it? Adriano is the biggest what if. Adriano, the biggest what if. Yeah, maybe. No. Hold up. No, it's not. R9 is the biggest what if, bro. If R9 had stayed healthy, could he have become the GOAT? That would have been the biggest what if for me. Adriano is probably a close second. In fact, it's ironic because people consider Adriano the heir to Ronaldo Nazario, but Ronaldo for me is always the biggest what if in football history, bro. If that guy could have stayed fit, we're talking about the complete footballer. The complete footballer, man. At least the complete forward. We'll go for 3 more. I'll read 3 more for you guys. Ganso is a big what if. Yep. Run off the legs. This is doing overtime. Facts, man. My shift is over. I'm doing this for you guys, bro. There's a few strangling customers at the end. Hot take, Rooney's finished after bullshit, bro. No chance. Hot take, talent is overstated. He looks good aesthetically, but he doesn't force the issue enough. Doesn't have the passing volume to become a top midfielder. And as a winger, he'll always be average. Who are you talking about here, markups? Are you talking about Valverde? I don't know who you're talking about. Let me know. Adriano didn't score enough goals even before the depression. He could have done more. Ridiculous talent, though. Well, that's true to be fair, right? He doesn't have any outstanding goal-scoring seasons, but you also have to think too, bro. Think about how young he was as well, right? The guy was 21, 22 years old, 23 years old, I believe. When I remember him at Inter, anyways, he was young. I remember him and Zlatan are around the same age. So who's to say? Plus, also think about the time too, right? No one was really scoring 40 goal seasons in domestically. This was before Ronaldo and Messi really blowing up. FTBL, this is for you. Hot take, Neymar is this generation. Oh, Foden's talent is overstated. He looks good aesthetically, but he doesn't force the issue enough, doesn't have the passing volume to become a top midfielder. And as a winger, he'll always be average. Is he an average winger, Markups? First of all, I disagree with that. Secondly, passing volume. I find it hard to agree with that until I see Foden playing consistently at midfield. But I don't think his talent is overstated. I think talent-wise, bro, he's absolutely outstanding. Dribbling, he's unreal. He can strike the ball incredibly well. He does force the issue, in my opinion, enough. I think he is direct. I think he's just been shoehorned into a position because of his versatility, because of his talent. And I think he's reached the ceiling as a winger. But I won't rule out Foden as a 10 or as an interior until I see it consistently. And consistently, I mean 10 games. 10 games in a row of seeing Foden playing in that role. Then, okay, we can start having that conversation. But I think this is Arsenal fans who just don't like him being compared to Saka. We'll do one more after this one. Culture Cam says center backs have it easier in this generation. Not playing against two strikers consistently makes life a lot easier. Yeah, and also, Cam, I always say this too, right? Center backs have it a lot easier because I think they find themselves in 1v1 defending situations a lot less. I think one thing that has come with the modern game is that with football being more tactical and more systematic, defending is more system-based, in my opinion, than it was 10 years ago, in that teams defend as a unit rather than as individuals. And because of that, you see players isolated in 1v1 situations or last man versus a counter-attacking player a lot less than you did 10 years ago. Like, people always bring up Vidic against Torres and how many times he found himself isolated. Defenders in today's game don't find themselves in those situations as much because of the systems that they're in. They're in very concrete, very stable banks of four that move much more cohesively as a unit. And then they always have a number 6 right in front of them. They have a goalkeeper who's coming off their line sweeping. I just think defenses in the modern game are a lot more systemically stable, if that's the word. I think defending 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you saw a lot more 1v1 defending, and you probably required a lot more 1v1 ability from those defenders. That's why you see the Vidiches and the Puyols and the John Terrys and the Rios in those situations where they get made a mockery of. I believe that if you put a Van Dijk in that era where systems were a lot less cohesive than they are today, he'd be also exposed 1v1 a few times. Every defender would, bro. Sergio Ramos is another great example. That's my theory behind it. We'll do one more. Pirlo at Euro 2012 is better than any tournament Xavi had. I disagree, Ref. Let me tell you this. Pirlo World Cup 2006 might be better than any tournament Xavi ever had. Mate. But Xavi 2010 World Cup is better than Pirlo 2012. Xavi World Cup 2010 is unbelievable. Arguably the best player of that tournament, bar Forlan. I'll retweet the tweet, the compilation for Xavi 2010 World Cup tonight. Brother, outstanding. Outstanding. But guys, that's going to be it for today. Let me know as well, guys. Tweet at me, DM me, put it in the comment section below. Do you guys prefer this one or do you guys prefer start sub sell? Let me know. Because I'm down to do either one of these, to be honest. It's like a last game that we can play at the end of this stream. But that's all I really got for you guys. This has been obviously 8 p.m. in Europe, third show in a week or in a row. Today, obviously, we did Champions League preview, predictions. I gave you mine. I'll run by it one last time. We got Inter Milan losing to Benfica, so Benfica progress. We got Napoli beating Milan, so Napoli progress. We got Real Madrid beating Chelsea, so Real Madrid progress. And I have Manchester City beating Bayern Munich, Manchester City progressing. So, yo, make sure you guys like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you guys hit the notification, hit the like button, share with your friends, all that good stuff. Sunday, Stoppage Time TV Court is back. That's going to be brilliant. Honestly, I can't wait for that. We got FTBL Culture on Sunday as well. The next 8 p.m. in Europe I have will be with a special guest. A very, 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 very special guest. Every one of you guys must be here no matter what. Cam, you must be here no matter what. Next week's 8 p.m. in Europe is an all-timer. And if you miss it, you'll never regret. You'll forever regret missing it. You must be there next week. But guys, that's all I got for you. This has been 8 p.m. in Europe. It's myself, Elias. We'll see you when we see you. Peace.